What is going on, guys? Reverend Say here, and today you guys are going to be watching some Titanfall gameplay on the Xbox One. This game is awesome. I absolutely love this game. It's a ton of fun. But basically what we're going to be talking about today is actually the positives and the negatives. And there's a big negative. It all categorizes over under one big one. But I'm going to kind of go into detail as to what I'm exactly talking about, because it'll make it easier for you guys to understand and be like, well, what are you saying that? There's a lot. There's really not. So we're going to get into that here real quick. But first, this game, I'll go 11-1. Now that's 11 pilot kills, as in other players, and 1 death. That's actually pretty dang good. And I also kill a bunch of Titans, but you actually will not see how many exactly on the scoreboard, because this is hardpoint domination, and they do not actually count. I just laughed because I realized the pun in there. Hardpoint was Black Ops 2, was big. Domination, Ghosts, and Call of Duty. Get it? Call of Duty. Okay, whatever. Anyway, but they do not count the actual numbers on the leaderboards for hardpoint domination at the end, which kind of sucks, because a lot of the times when I do really good when it comes to this slaying in this game. When I taking out Titans, I am good at. That's what I like to do, and it doesn't count it in all of the game modes, sadly. But nonetheless, great gameplay. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now let's get into the subject at hand, what we are talking about. And the positives, let's just start off with one of those. The game is fun. It's tons and tons and tons of fun. You forget about the negatives because it is so much fun. And I can't just exactly describe why it's so much fun. It just is. It's different. It's not really new, because parkour in a shooter has been done before. Brink they did it in Brink. I'm pretty sure there's some other games I can't think of right now that have tried it, but it was clunky. It didn't flow very well. It wasn't as fast paced as it should have been. It wasn't as smooth as it should have been, and it just didn't last, and it wasn't exactly very much fun. It was maybe at the first time, and then it was like, okay, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to do that. In this game, it's not like that. It's just so fluid and perfect that it kind of happens. You just go with it. It's all motion, and it just flows so perfectly. It's so much fun, so smooth, and just clean. That's a good word for it. Clean. This game is clean when it comes to the mechanics. Similar to how COD just kind of dominates like the mechanics for a first-person shooter with the ADS and all that stuff. This game just dominates motion, period. It's so good when it comes to that. So that's a positive to it. Now the negative side to that is there's content. Like literally there is so tiny bit of, I can't even talk right. It frustrates me so much. There's hardly any content in this game at all. So it's fun, it's super fun. Yeah, you're having fun, and then a week later you're like, okay, I'm bored already. Just a week into the game, you're like, ugh. I have some friends who are already like that, who've been playing it a lot, and they're just like, oh, what now, dude? I've done everything so many times. It sucks. And it's kind of frustrating, because you spend $60 on the game and you're already out of content. Now, let me explain why we're out of content. It kind of is primarily along the lines of the single player. There is none. There is absolutely no single player. The storyline and or campaign is literally just multiplayer maps with some dialogue in the background. Like, you're waiting in the lobby, an 85-second long wait time in the lobby, and then there's some dialogue that plays with when there's about 30 seconds left, and then you sit there and wait for another like 10-15 seconds. Game starts, and then throughout the game there's some dialogue like, oh man, we've got to take this over right now. Do it right now. Do it. And it's just like, and this is why we gotta do it. Basically, the entire story is why the side you're playing on is fighting. There's 2 different campaigns. One's for the militia, which is what you play, which is, I guess, is technically the good guys. And then one's for the IMC, which is like all the robots, and I guess are technically the bad guys. And each side just has like their own reason for fighting. And that's all the dialogue explains, really, is why each side is fighting. And that's it. It's just a multiplayer match with that dialogue in there. That's all this campaign is. So, I mean, yeah, get yourself some easy achievements, get yourself some fun ones because you're just playing the game, and go ahead and do that. Great, but it's a huge lack of content, because you're not going to get a co-op, you're not going to get a 6-7 hour single-player storyline out of it, or I mean, even longer in some cases. Like Halo's sometimes were about 10 hours, and Gears of War, I think Gears 3 was closer to 12, if I remember correctly. At least that's how long it took me on average, if I wasn't trying to go through it super fast, you know. And it was like, it's just short, and it's just, there's not much to it. And another thing is with how many guns there are, I think there's like 2 or 3 of each type of gun. I think there's like two or three ARs. Yeah, there's like a automatic. The first gun, which is a carbine, is just like an automatic rifle. Then there's a semi-automatic rifle. It's like a marksman rifle. And then there's a 3-shot burst rifle. Then there's 2 SMGs, I think. I don't think there's 2. Is there 2 shotguns? There might be 2 shotguns. And then there is, I think, 2 or 3 snipers. And that's it. And then there's there's 3 different sidearms, a couple different anti-tank weapons, and couple different grenades and stuff like that. But that's it. That's all it has. You get more content, literally, probably almost double the content in Call of Duty's multiplayer section alone than you do in this entire game. Probably even if you count all the DLCs in this game, you still get more content in the launch of Call of Duty's multiplayer than you do in this entire game alone. And that's not exactly what you want to hear, because essentially you're paying an entire $60 for half of a game. That's it. We do not, in my opinion, I do not get nearly enough content to justify an entire $60, let alone an extra $25 for the season pass to get the DLC throughout the year. This game just, it's not going to have the longevity it needs to actually last and become a sensation. Yes, it's great. Yes, it was one of the most anticipated games of this year, of this generation so far, obviously, but it's not gonna last, in my opinion. It's that good. Don't get me wrong, the game is that good. It's just not gonna last as long as it needs to, in my opinion. I think if they come back with a second game or a sequel or a similar game and they put double the content in it, like an average amount of content you'll find in a video game, I think it will definitely last and can definitely sell extremely, probably better than it is now. Even in this game, I'm pretty sure it's selling very well, and that's just my opinion, though. I know a lot of people agree with me. They're just like, well, what the heck, all I'm doing is ranking up with the same exact class I started out with, practically, because the gun, there really isn't that much difference of a gun. You just find something you like and there you go. It's not like Call of Duty where they're like, okay, I want to use an AR here, or I want to use a submachine gun here, okay, maybe I want to pull out a shotgun because I'm struggling, or anything like that, or it's nothing like that. And it's just, there's no competitive side to it either, which is a good thing in my opinion, because instead of trying to win all the time, you can kind of do that while trying to do cool stuff. So the whole game is just like, to me, is what's the coolest thing I can think of to do, and then try it, and then try to pull it off. And it's so much fun, because when you pull it off, you're just like, that was freaking awesome. So that's a good side to it. It's just so much fun, and it's worth it because it's so much fun. But in the long run, you're gonna be like, was it really worth it? I'm kind of bored now. You know, it's going to be one of those situations, which sucks. Now, another good thing about it is the game looks beautiful, especially for running on the Source engine, which is, it's actually kind of an old engine. It's actually been updated, obviously, for this game. But the Source engine has been used since, like, Half-Life 1, I'm pretty sure. Valve used it, and, like, it's primarily a PC engine as far as I know, I think, and it's kind of interesting to see how, like, they took an engine that isn't necessarily known to be like very like strong or powerful. I mean, it's always been known to be very easily accessible, and you can make some really good games with it. Anyone can do it, really, but they made a solid looking game with a pretty old engine, and it's fun and it works extremely well. So that's a good thing. But the bad side to that is actually there's a lot of frame rate drops. There's some parts where you have such bad frame rate drops you feel like you have connection lag, but it's nothing to do with the connection. It's literally all just frame rate lag, and that's just an issue that they had. I guess a lot of people had it in the beta. I actually did not have that issue at all in the beta, so I don't know why people had it, but it's pretty frustrating at some points, because it happens when there's a lot of stuff going on, and if you're in that fight, you're pretty much screwed if the other person's going fine, because it doesn't affect everybody the same way, sadly. But that's just kind of a bad thing about it. It's not too bad. They did say they were going to be working on some updates to go out to send out and update it. Another kind of negative thing, which I literally do not care about this, because look how good the game looks already. But it's not in 1080p. I think it's actually in 900p, and they're working on getting the 1080p update with 60 frames, like with a full 60 frames. I think that was an update. But to me, that's not a big deal. If you put them side by side, you're like, okay, yeah, the 1080 is a little bit clearer, but they both look about the same, like just as good, pretty much. It's just one's a little bit more clear. That's about it. But anyway, guys, that's the video. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you have the game? Are you going to keep the game? Did it live up to your expectations? My dog is barking. The good thing is the end of the video. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.